All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live stream of Nuka Vault Readiness. I'm your host, C, aka the Vault Guy. Appreciate you being here this evening. All right. Becoming dangerous. Evening to you as well, sir. All right. So today's topic, let's get our trusty mascot over there in the corner, Mr. Pluto. All right. Also, can I get a 5x9 if I'm coming in nice and clear? Hopefully I am. Everything seems to be working on my end. But again, if I could please get a 5x9 to make sure y'all can hear me. Ugh. Still got the evening coffee here. So once we get started here, y'all let me know if that light's a little bit too bright for everybody. We'll adjust it as need be. All right, becoming dangerous. Thank you for the 5x5. Okay, I guess we are good and ready to roll. I turned it down there one, maybe a little bit better once we start playing around with radios. All right, again, thank you for joining this evening. Another live stream for Nuka Vault Readiness. So today we're going to be programming radios. I thought it would be a great topic to cover because it is one of those that even though programming software is a great thing to have and it makes it easy to program everything we could think of under the sun, what happens when we hit that electrical grid down and you are resorted to having to manually program those radios? I personally have found out that mobile radios are a little bit harder to program than hand talkies. But for tonight's live stream, we're going to be focusing solely on handy talkies themselves. And pretty much they're going to be different flavors of Baofangs for the evening. So if anyone here is not a Baofang fan, I apologize ahead of time. But the programming is pretty much the same no matter the brand you get. There are a couple funky ones out there. I think possibly my Quanshang and my TID radio is a little bit different, and I'll explain more as I go along here about how they're different. You would think it's straightforward. There's a menu and everything, but sometimes you got to work around these things. But all right, so to kick it off, uh, we need to look at, let's see, what type of microphone are you using? I am using a Blue brand Yeti Nano. I hope it still is coming in okay. You bear with me here a second. I'll check in. All right, how is that? I just turned up the gain a bit. Hopefully, hopefully that will fix it a little bit better. It has sometimes like a auto input gain based on how loud you can make your vocals. But we're gonna keep it like that. Let's see here. Just gonna double check one more time. Apologize about that, but as long as the audio is coming in clear, hopefully we'll be good to go. All right, you let me know if anything seems to go amiss here. All right, so to start out, you would want to make sure before you're programming, unless you are going to be using your handy talkies simply for simplex, which is just radio to radio communication, you would want to make sure you have a list of your repeaters. Becoming dangerous. Yes, probably so. Probably so. While I was turning around getting something, I'll try to keep that to a minimum as we go through the evening. Appreciate the comment though. Actually, let me go ahead and prop up the mic here. Yes, that is a beautiful Baofeng box there that you saw underneath as my stand. So we're gonna roll with that. All right. Hopefully that's better. That's um more at about mouth level. So hopefully it comes in clear. Anyway, so when you are going to program in for repeaters, it would be very helpful to have a list of your local repeaters or anything you're wanting to program. Uh, again, at handy, either scrap sheet of paper. I keep mine in a notebook. If you're so inclined, you can write them out on index cards or heck, a piece of paper and you laminate it, which is something I highly suggest. Mine is again just in a smaller notebook. It's usually set off to the side, or it goes with me in my get home bag, and sometimes while I'm out camping, uh, just my preferred method. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here and screen share real quick. If you have not heard of Repeater Book, I highly recommend that you get onto the website to um, that you take a gander at this. Becoming dangerous, no problem. I've had just about every audio issue imaginable. Yeah, I hear you there. I hear you there. And audio is some of the stuff I used to play around with for fun, like mixing audio tracks and such. But anyway, all right. So I'm gonna switch over here real quick, and hopefully y'all can see this now in screen share. So this is a repeater book. It is it's a database which I believe all the information is put in by users. So um, it is pure. I get peer audited. I guess you could say, and you can look up every repeater, amateur radio or GMRS, of course, is required to register on the site, but it's connecting hams one repeater at a time. And it also does have GMRS repeaters on here as well. So I'm not going to go through this in depth. Y'all can explore this on your own, but I will link it in the chat here in a second. Go ahead and drop that in for y'all right now. And here's the website. So what you would do is, whether for North American or also rest of the world repeaters, which is over here, let's go North American. And this is without logging in. So you can just take a look at repeaters in your state. So for instance, let's go ahead and I'm just going to pick on Oklahoma tonight. Nothing against you, Oklahoma. I'm just going to pick in on you this tonight. Let's say you're looking at for your 2 meters. You click on that. And what it does is it gives you all of the repeaters, whether they are online or not, in the state of Oklahoma, as submitted by users on here. And you could sort them by either location. I guess I should do that. There you go. In alphabetical order, county by alphabetical order, call sign, the use, which means they are open, working, or not working. And you could also sort them by modes, whether they're on DMR, D Star, FM, etc. Or if you like and you just want to go up numerically, you can do that too. So as you see, it has the frequency. That would be it says it's FM, but that's a digital tone, looks like. So it has a digital up and down link tone where its location is. This one happens to be in Alfalfa Perry Broadcasting Building in Caddo County, with the call sign of Kilo 5 Golf Sierra Mike. It's open and it uses FM mode. You can click on the frequency over here or whatever you have highlighted that you're searching for. And here's all the basic info: downlink, uplink, offset, uplink, tone, etc. All your stuff's down here. What's really cool about Repeater Book is you can, uh, depending on if the information is put in, you can see that they give an approximate radius of how far their repeater reaches. So, I mean, 50-mile radius. This is a pretty good repeater. I wonder how tall it is. And it'll tell you if it has any affiliates. So this one right here says it's Western Oklahoma Skywarn. So this is definitely going to be a Skywarn, aka amateur radio, like weather reporting type of repeater. And then gives you any features, anything you need to know about it. Yes, it's analog, and there's other stuff here, links to all that. So very cool website. You can download it on the Apple Store. You can get it on Google Play for your Android phones, tablets, etc. I have used this forevermore. And again, you can sign up with it. And if you do want to sign up on the website, you do have to have a valid uh, amateur radio license or a GMRS license, if I recall. I think they do take both. So good website there. I highly implore y'all to use that. So, all right, without further ado, let's get back into camera mode here. All right. So now we will start with what we are all here for today. We are going to manually program your handhelds. Sorry about that. Another sip of the evening coffee. And we are going to start off with, and hopefully this works under the camera. We will see. And we probably have to zoom in some more and turn off the light or down. So give me a second here and we will turn down the lights to see the screen properly. That's about all it can go down. So we'll have to do it from here and hopefully y'all can see it. All right. So I'm going to just go off of memory of a couple of local repeaters I have in the area. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn on your Baofeng. Again, this is the UV5R. I really want this to focus more, so I'm hoping I can get it real quick. Let's see. All right. Let's see if we can just back up a little bit. I want to make sure y'all are seeing what I'm doing here. So if you want to follow along and you have something you want to put in, I will try to keep the pace so that everyone can see it as we go. All right. So this happens to be my unlocked Baofeng, which has some GMRS/FRS frequencies saved in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and program in a repeater first. First thing you want to do is make sure your line that you're on is in VFO mode or frequency mode rather. So there you go. So what you want to do is you're going to type in the repeater's receive frequency. In this case, I'm going to be typing in 146.900. That is my receive frequency. Then you're going to hit menu. And then I'll move my mouse out of the way here. And then you're going to want to go to option. Well, I don't have the timeout very long on this one. You're going to want to go to option 10. This starts your receive and your transmit tones that you would need. So 10 is receive DCS, which are most are digital. Your CTCSS on the receive side, transmit DCS, and then this is the one most repeaters use is a tone CTCSS, which is the tone it needs to break the squelch of your repeater. This one is already set for what I need, tone 100. So that's fine. Then what you're going to want to do is go to option 25. It will say SFT-D, which stands for shift. You're going to shift your offset for your repeater if it has one. I swear I have never changed my timing on these. All right. So you would push menu, you hear frequency direction, and you'd move up and down to whatever you need. In this case, I need a negative. You press menu to confirm. You go ahead and move up one to option 26, and that will be your offset of your repeater. This one is already correct. I apologize to keep moving because of the dang menu. This is offset 0.600 megahertz. And again, we are going down with it. After that, if you already know you have an empty channel you want to use, go to 27, which is memory, and then scroll down to your empty channel that you want. In this case, I already used quite a few. I'm going to go ahead and just go, you know what, we'll go all the way to the end. Why not? Go ahead and put it on the last channel for this radio, which is 127. You'll see it's just blank there. Press menu. She says receiving memory, but really it's saved on there. We're going to go ahead and exit. And then we're going to switch back to channel mode. That's better when the backlight goes off. All right. So then we're going to go down. That's channel 10. All right. We're on 127 now. All right, Mr. Shep. Hey, everyone. And Shep, evening to you, sir. All right. So we have it saved in. We did our offset, we did our tone frequency for the repeater, and we programmed in the repeater's receive frequency. And remember, when you did your shift in your tone, when you hit the PTT now, it should take this down by 0.600 megahertz to the transmit frequency, which in this case ends up being 146.300 megahertz. Now, I know what this is. This is my club's repeater. I just have a rubber duck on here. I am not going to be able to hit the repeater no matter what. Tried it many a times, but do as I say, not as I do. If you are going to test to see that you actually can reach the repeater you properly, you will do a radio check as you press your PTT, excuse me, to see if you have programmed it incorrectly and if anyone hears you. You should also get the breaking squelch sound, the white noise and then the cutoff. You should get that if you hit the repeater, if you have it programmed incorrectly and it breaks the squelch on the repeater. Again, I know I'm far enough, so I'm not going to hit the repeater, but I want to show you that after we programmed, it is going to show that it's going to now transmit on the other frequency. If you saw that there, it went down to 146.300. So this is programmed in correctly on channel 127. So there you go. That is how to program a repeater on your UV5R. If you simply want to just plug in um, simplex frequencies, so we'll do one of those without a tone. You can set a tone for simplex, but again, if you do not put a tone, then anyone and everyone can contact each other and listen on the same frequency. So let's let me go just off of the national calling frequency. So I think we can go. Let's go back to VFO first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do so 146.520 is the national calling frequency. So we're going to do 146.535, which I happen to know is still within my simplex band in my state. So this is fine. So when you want to save and say you're saving again, you're just saving a simplex number to talk with your group or whatever. You're going to want to make sure everything is clear on the shifts, the tones, all of that. So to do that, we go back in. We start at option 10 on your menus. Receives your your DCS, your CTSS. Make sure all those are off. Tone CTCSS. You can actually hit 0 instead of just scrolling down to off. Off, press menu, which is the confirm button. And then we want to go all the way to 25. There's our shift menu again. You just go ahead and move up and down until it says off. Confirm it. Now the shift's already off, so there's no need to clear the offset, the actual offset of the megahertz. You don't have to do that since you've already cleared, or excuse me, since you already turned your shift off. So last thing to do is if you want it program it into a memory is of course, go back in, go to your memory channel, which is option 27. And we're going to go just below the one I did, 126. Yeah, she says receiving memory, but it is saved there, and I will show you. So then we exit. There we go. Put it back in memory mode now, or channel mode rather, I guess. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn the squelch off because this is simplex. So I'll turn the radio down, but we should not be hearing anybody on this. And we're gonna go down to option 0 because it's the very first one. And we're gonna turn the squelch off, so you're gonna hear white noise. So that's on a simplex channel, for at least in my area. This is within our simplex plan band plan. I always get that mixed up here in the state. So 146.535.000. Anyway, on our new save channel 126. And if you see, if I was to push the PTT, it should not shift, and I turned the tone off. So it didn't move. So there you go. Tone is off, shift is off. Now let's turn the squelch off. There we go. And on simplex, you're always wanting to turn your squelch off unless you know you are in, I say, a decent proximity within your entire group, that you could turn the squelch at least up to 1. And that way you can just hear each other on your simplex channel without having to try to listen through all the back noise, all the white noise. But if this is for distance and you're just trying to get either radio traffic, especially on 146.520, which is the national calling frequency, always recommending you just turn your squelch off. That way you can just catch whatever's coming in. All right. Well, there you go. So that's programming in a simplex. And then we have our repeater right there. And that's how you do it on a UV5R. All right. Before we move on, we've got a couple other Baofangs because each one is a little bit different on how you program them. Essentially, it is the same, but the different models slash flavors of the firmware and Baofangs, they have a little different way to go about it. So, the UV5R, this way I just showed you for simplex and for repeaters. It works on this model, the BF, is it the F8HP model? I believe that was the next generation after the UV5R. It should work on your UV9Rs, your or UV9s, your 9R, your 9 Pro. I have the 9 Pro version. And because it is the same firmware as the UV5R, it should work on that newer AR152, the big green military military radio looking thing. So again, anything that's got this, I call it old school, but like this older LCD, and that's all you're looking at is just LCD and numbers. No color screen. I guess I should just call it that. Those types of Baofangs and those Baofangs with that firmware, it should work just fine on all those. So there you go. So again, if you want to know your essential options that you're needing to just do what I did, would be options 0 for squelch, 10 through 13 is going to be all of your receives or transmit tones, whether they're DCS or CTSS. CTCSS. There, I got that right. Number 25, which is going to be your shift direction. Number 26, which is the actual offset. 27 would be to store memory, and then 28 would actually be to delete a channel. And if you ever go back and you pull out your manuals, a lot of them will suggest that you just go straight to option 28 on these models, and the other one, I think it's up to near 30, to delete said channel, then go in and do all this. So again, don't have to if you've got a fresh radio and you've got like 100 plus channels to use. You don't have to do that. But anyway, all right. So that's that model. Um, any questions or anything before we move on? And we will move on to the next type or the next model, rather. And I do want to say I appreciate everyone that's here watching. It is 7:30 on a Saturday. I know everyone could be doing something else, but for y'all that are here, again, I greatly appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that supports the channel. Almost at 1,000 subscribers. It is hard to believe this just started as a channel because I really got interested in the hobby and trying to share what I find out and what I know. As it always helps me to learn by teaching and regurgitating what I think I know. So, all right. Shep says no. All right. So, the next one we're going to move on to, which these two radios, you you can you can kind of just copy the steps that I'm about to say for these two into like each other, if that makes sense. So, of course, I have the longer antenna on here, so we're going to see if I can get this to work over here. Let's see. And hopefully, with the color screen, this will be a bit better. So, this is the Baofeng UV17R Plus. Right before we move on, we've got, let's see here, Capricorn Muse. Hey, what's up, buddy? Glad you could join us this evening. All right, becoming dangerous. I do have one question about the. You're doing good. Lots of people have the Baofeng, but they're lazy about learning how to use them. Becoming dangerous. I I don't know too many people who don't like learning about programming them, especially manually, personally. But I do have to tell you, uh, based on one of the groups I'm on Facebook, that does seem to be the case. I hate to play devil's advocate here. The But yes, I have seen that as a comment that a lot of people don't like to manually do it because it is confusing. So they'd rather hook it up to Chirp or uh, whatever software does it. There's some out there. I actually have a associate of mine. I ended up borrowing, I guess you could say, his Baofeng. I forget what model it is, but it's a DMR. It's totally different. I haven't even downloaded the software for it because I want to try to figure it out, but it is a pain to try to figure out. So I'm still working on that one, and hopefully I'll do a video on some DMR programming, but it's a different animal, I have to tell you. It does your 5RM transmit on GMRS frequencies. You know what? Excuse me. Good question. I actually don't have the 5RM programmed for any GMRS frequencies, but if time does allow, because we are going to get to that one, because it's basically the same of the UV5R and how to program it, but we're going to go through it just in case for those who have a 5RM or something that's kind of like those on the soft those that have that particular firmware on them. But you what, we could definitely put one in simplex because that UV5R I have does have my GMRS frequency, so we could definitely put one in to try out. So we may do that if time allots us towards the end here. Thanks, becoming dangerous. Appreciate that. All right, so this one is again, this is the UV17 R plus. There is a pro version, and I believe there's one after that. And the pro, I think it's the pro. The pro version says that you could get it with GPS, or I assume that would be like APRS capabilities on it. I noticed this one had the GPS insignia or logo on the top of it, but it does not do GPS. So I was sad by that. But anyway, all right. So this one will do this, and yes, I'm actually missing a tiger tail on this. This screw popped out, and so all I've got is my 70 centimeter tiger tail on here. which is fine. I actually wanna take this out now and just test it with one on there, see if I can get the 70 centimeters to work a bit better because 'cause I've got a good repeater that's hooked up to a whole reflector network in my area, and it always seems hard to get on the 70 centimeter with them, but digress. Different video, different story, different live stream for that. Alright, so let's go ahead. We're gonna turn this one on, and yes, I turned off her beautiful voice on this one. All I wanted to hear was beeps, so alright, so for this one and actually, before we do anything, let me fix the timeout on this. I really want this camera to focus a bit more. Maybe that'll work. I apologize that I had to move it back there. And there's my shortcut notes on the options there. Hopefully that's a bit better since it's farther back. All right. Sorry about playing with the lights there. I was trying to see if it'll come in any clearer, but okay, that's a little bit better than it was. All right. Let me turn off the let me turn off the I forget what's that's called the timeout on it. Let's turn that off first. And I forget which one that is on. There's a timeout talk, and then there is the when the menu turns off on you, and that's what I want to turn off, or at least turn it up for quite a bit. Oh, there we go. Exit time is 15 seconds. Now we're going up to like 30 because we're going to be doing this for a minute. And then I think there's a timeout talk, but I don't care about that. Let's turn off the problem is I end up playing with the radio for a bit and then I end up turning all this off. And the next thing I know, I set it down and next thing I know, it's been on for like 2 hours because I walk away. So anyway, okay. So for a 17R, it's a little different. You can't just put everything in like I did the first one. There's actually a step order on how to do it. Dumb, I know, but it's all part of how this has to work, apparently, to get it to save the proper way. So, if we're going to do it for a repeater, we'll start with that. You're going to want to make sure, of course, you're in VFO mode. To switch between VFO and memory mode on the 17, you press and hold the green button. Okay, if you could see it, it actually switched right there to memory mode. And now I just switched it back to VFO. So with that, and we're going to replicate the same repeater I did. So what you would do first is you're going to put in the output frequency of your repeater. So we're on VFO 146900. Okay. And then what you're going to want to do is the first thing you have to do is go to your menu, green button on this one, and you're going to go to number 29, which is your offset, and you're going to put it in. So this is again 000.600 megahertz. Confirm it. You see now that is beeping. That's blinking again. Okay. And then you're going to want to put in your shift direction. And I remember this one is negative. Put that in. And then you're going to go back to option 10. That's your receive CTSS, receive digital, transmit CTCSS, which is it's at 100. That's what I want. And then that's off. That's the digital one. So, and then you've already got that. You've got the direction. And now what you could do is, and you have to find a tone. That's wait, it is. I'm going to double check it, make sure it's saved. Okay, cool. So then what you want to do is you want to go up to, it's going to be option 30. I apologize if you hear the pup in the background. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're at memory. We're going to go ahead and just use 9. Why not? And again, turned her off. You can't hear her, but saved. Because now memory there, it has CH on it. If it's blank and it just has the number, then it's an open channel. Once it has CH and a number, something's been saved in that spot. Becoming dangerous. Funny thing about the 17R and the 21R program, then with the 5 RAM setting in chirp for a friend, and it worked. Huh. I do have chirp. Don't get me wrong, and I've programmed. I play around a lot with 5R. Excuse me, the UV5R, the BF F8 HP. I programmed all those older radios with chirp, and then not that I tossed chirp to the side, but I kind of did. And I usually just read through my manual and figure out how to do this. Again, I'm just big proponent on you need to learn how to do this in case either software quits working, we don't have it anymore, whichever, or you're on trips, unless you're going to be carrying um, a tablet, yeah, laptop, or I actually just saw someone commented about carrying a Bluetooth dongle that they said you could use offline. And I left a comment asking about said dongle, and I haven't received a reply yet. Something I guess you could just hook up the dongle particular to a particular radio, and then you're gonna get. I guess it just has your repeater list in it, and then you could just share it or program your radio from there. Interesting idea. I've never seen I've just never seen how it works. But all right, so VFO. So let's press and hold the green. It's back to um, memory now. There's channel 8. There's channel 9. There's our 1469000. And you see up here, it has I will fix this radio at some point. It has the negative and it's on high power, but it has the negative for the shift. All right. Again, this is the club repeater. I'm not going to be able to hit it. Do as I say, not as I do. Always make sure you identify yourself the call sign that you're doing a radio check when you try to break into a repeater. But here we go. There you go. You can see it was outputting power and it changed from 146.900 to 146.300. So there you go. You got this one. It's ready to go. If you wanted to do a simplex, very simple. We're going to go back, make sure we're in VFO. It's back in VFO right now. We're going to do 146.535. That's simplex in my area. Menu. And you're going to go back through everything. Number 29 first. I know it's weird why we got to go to offset first. I do not know. Make sure your offset's at 0. Save it. Shift direction down on 28. Make sure you're on the off. Save that. Go down to 10 to start your receive and transmits. I went to 0, my mistake. 10. Why it's not why, but in case you do have transmit CTCSS, again, if you and your group want a tone so that you're a little more private, no one can hear you without um, breaking in on the tone. If you don't put a receive tone in, then they're still going to hear you. They just can't talk to you if you have a transmit tone on. If you did both a transmit and a receive tone, they would need the receive to be able to hear you, and likewise the transmit tone to get into your particular simplex that you're talking to. But for this purpose, we're turning everything off that you're just going to talk on simplex. Okay, receive CTSS, that's off. DCS is off. Okay. Transmit CTCSS is on 12. You could just hit 0 a couple times to get to off. Save that. DCS is off. Now we're going to go back to 30. That's our memory channel stuff, port area. And now we're going to hit, let's just do 007. Why not? Saved. Now 007 has CH007, so something is saved in that spot. Exit the menu. It is on, again, it's on VFO. Let's click and hold the green button. We are now here. And actually, once you exit, or once you've gone from VFO right over to memory, if you can see 146,530, it takes us straight to the memory we just did. Now, again, for this purpose, we're going to turn the squelch off. Okay, 0, 0. Oop, wrong way. Turn squelch off. This is simplex. I'm inside the house. I don't hear any traffic. So we're just going to press the PTT briefly to show you everything is turned off. So it's not moving. So the red light was on. So it was trying to transmit. There you go. We just programmed in a simplex frequency. And now you've got, again, programmed in a simplex and a repeater on your UV17. This also works for, okay, now that's going to just, there, we can do that without turning it off. And the same steps actually work for your 20, should not put the long whips on these things. The same thing works for your 21R as well. The menus are exactly the same. Dependent on the version of the 17 you get, it has one extra option, which I believe is called the Scrambler. Haven't played with that, but it's an extra quote unquote privacy thing that it can scramble your transmission. I'm assuming to outside listeners, minus who has everything on the same channel, or excuse me, frequency, tone, etc. that you're trying to talk to. It's interesting. Like I said, I've never played around with it yet, but those steps translate over to the UV21R. All right, I'm going to turn this off. All right. Any questions about these before we move on? And these are fairly popular. The 17, the 21. I didn't know the 21 was actually still pretty popular overall. It's a tri-band handheld, and I unfortunately don't have a 1.25 meter. I don't have one in my area that's close enough that I can hit it with a whip. But there's one in a smaller town, I believe, like 25 miles away. So one day I'm going to go out there and try to play around on 1.25 meters. My club actually has an antenna. We just haven't, we don't have it hooked up, but curious to see what I can do with this. Anyway. All right. Before we move on to the next one, any questions? All right, let's see. Becoming Dangerous. The 21Rs were 23 bucks on Cyber Monday. Wow, that is cheap. I honestly would have to go back and look through my orders to see what I paid for mine. I'm gonna say in excess of 40. and I think that was just for the unit itself, and it wasn't till, like, a few days later, I ended up getting the tri-band whip for it, but that's a good deal, and I say it still seems to be popular. I did a rather lengthy a lengthy video on this when I first got it, and then I tried to break it down, but unfortunately, I don't think I did too well of a job breaking this video down because there's a lot to be played with this radio. So I intend to make a new video on the 21, but I assume because it's a tri band, it's popular, and I'm sure that's why. All right, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna move everybody, and we're gonna zoom out real quick because hopefully that will make things a bit easier to see. All right, so we've programmed the UV5R, the 17R, which the 17 again translates over to your 21R, and I probably shouldn't have this antenna on this one either, but now we're going to move on to a 5RM here shortly. Get that out of the light so we can, there, that is better. Hopefully that'll focus a bit more. Let's see. Hopefully that will focus it a bit more. Becoming dangerous. I need to try out the tri-band whip. Uh, Again, I unfortunately have not had the chance to make it out towards that smaller town to hit a 1.25. I have listened on the national calling frequency for 1.25 meters. I think it's 222.3.000, if I recall. Nothing in my area. But from what certain club members have told me and my Elmers, if you could set one up, I mean, especially if you can set a repeater up on 1.25, you've almost got yourself a whole private array of channels to use when it comes to the 125 meter because it is kind of barren overall. I guess that's the word to use. It's the same with 6 meters. I know I remember it's always called the magic band because I don't think a lot of people work 6 meters. Those who are truly dedicated to becoming the quote the master of all bands. They try out 6 meters, but 20 and 40, especially for us here in North America, 20 and 40 seems to be the main ones to work. Since we are at the maximum of the solar minimum, uh, 10 meters seems to be doing hot on certain days. And I think I want to say 15 too is something I recently saw some things in some Facebook groups were saying 15 was pretty good on some days. I think the furthest I've made it, and it was around evening. It was evening here. I've made a 20-meter contact from from my shack to the Canary Islands. Probably about 8 o'clock our time. Yeah, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on 20 meters with a slightly sloped invis antenna. I think at about 60 or 70 watts. So I was quite proud. But um, yeah, back to band things. Yeah, I need to play around more on 125. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna move on to the 5RM. This is probably another super popular model here, and now I know I've actually read some posts. There's already more flavors, upgrades of the 5RM. Um, I had a folding tactical antenna, and it sucked. Put it on one AR, the AR5RM, okay, yeah, like this, and the 77 on the other. The radio with the same was hearing repeaters from 140 miles away, and the folding antenna was dead. And that's pretty good on 20 meters. Yeah, yeah, that was fun on 20 meters. Okay, that's interesting that your 771. And if you don't mind me asking, was the 771 was it a Nagoya or an Abri? The only reason I asked that is because I have read that if you if you are is just bare bones and you're looking to upgrade, you get a Nagoya, especially if you're getting a UV5R. Just get a UV5R and get a Nagoya 771 because you need some reach and you want to get some better reception. But I've heard overall a Breeze are of a better construction. They're better overall. Yeah, this is a Bree tactical. Oh, it was the Abri one. Okay, interesting. I've always had good reception on my Abri 771s. I have like two. Um, Shep, sorry, have to drop. Keep it up. Shep, all right. I appreciate you being here. And again, appreciate your support. And I hope you have a good evening. 7 threes and Godspeed to you. All right. Becoming dangerous. That again, that is interesting that the 771 was picking up way better. Um, and I'm just curious, would it maybe have happened to been anything with the connection up here and not necessarily at the end at the radio? Because I think you could put a gasket in here. And I have learned that the gasket does play an essential part in keeping it um keeping the RF, contained within here. Any bit of a leak where it's not touching the ground parts of that connector, you are going to just throw off the antenna. So, just curious, but uh, that is interesting though that you're this thing that's supposed to give you, I think it's a solid 3 dB gain on two, and it gets you like 4 on 70 centimeters. I believe it is. If it's not, this is like a 2.2 gain on 2 meter, and it is like 3.5 on 70 centimeters. So, you're doubling your power on 70 centimeters, and you get what, like a 70% boost on 2 meter. But anyway, yeah, interesting. I also have the 4 foot version of this, the 4 foot. May have gotten bad antenna. Yeah, you may have, man. You may real have. I have the 4 foot version. This is the 18-inch folded, or like 22-inch, I guess, folded version. So I have the 43-inch that I hooked up to my, I believe it was my rad tail handheld, and a couple of buddies and I went up into the Arkansas mountains to camp, and I put it on a handheld, and that 43-inch Abri hit a repeater about 24 miles away, and we're talking mountainous, huge valleys, big mountain valley, that kind of terrain. And the repeater, again, about 24 or so miles out, the the operator that heard me gave me a solid 5.7 on a handheld. I was shooting 5 watts. I've already had tested the radio and everything ahead of time, and I was maybe shooting 5 watts. It was actually probably less than that, like 4.6, 4.5, something like that. But that big whip is supposed to give you, I think it's like a 4 point something gain. I'd have to look that one up. I don't remember that one's specs very well. That one I think is like a 4 point something gain on 2 meter, and it gives you like a 6 gain on 70 centimeter. But it's a good antenna. But yeah, like you said, you may have a bad antenna. Just check your once you're screwing it in, just check your connections to see if you've got a gap down here, or if you got a gap up here, right where the tape measure part goes into this housing. But again, who knows? All right, let's see here. We'll go ahead and move on, and let's program the 5RM. Again, another very popular model, since this is like the bigger, the beefier UV5R, and they already have other models of this as well. So I think the BF F8 HP Pro now has this layout color screen, and it's a little bit taller than this. So anyway, start out, you turn it on. Man, that light is still gonna kill. I'm gonna be investing in a different light for above this camera. So all right, as usual, we'll start out with repeaters. So this one, at least you don't have to hold anything to get in VFO and all that. It's kind of like your UV5R. Turn it up. I think I turned everything off. I did. So first thing you want to do is you're going to want to hit VFO mode. Get it over into VFO mode. I'm going to pull this up briefly, see if we can see if it'll focus on us. Nope, that's actually worse. Bummer. All right. So what you're going to want to do is this one you can program just like the UV5R. So we're going to put in our frequency first. 146.900. All right. Green button going into menu. You're going to go to that 10 first. That starts all your RT, your receive, transmit, CTCSS, and such. You're going to go to option 12 first. That is your tone. This one I need 100. I'm typing in 100. Saving. And then you're going to go to 28, which is your shift. This one I know I need a negative. It's already there, but we're going to walk through it. Green to enter the menu. Green again to confirm. Again, this is option 28. Move up to 29 for the actual offset. It's already there. We're walking through it. 000.600. It's there. Confirm. We're back to this. 30 is your memory channel. We're going to go ahead and just plug it into a blank memory. I didn't delete anything. So now we're going to scroll up. Up is actually down on this one. I meant up numerically, and it always goes backwards. Don't like that. And for fun, we're going to put it in 007. Save. And as you see, 007 now has the CH on it. So channel 7 has a memory. And again, that was option 30. You can go ahead and press the red button to exit. We're still in VFO mode. And I'm sorry, you probably can't see here, but this right here says main. So we are watching this band. This is still in VFO mode. So we're going to hit our VFO MR. And it did switch over. This does say number 7. It's right there. So we are in memory number 7, 146.900. I had to do that change to get the backlight on. 146.900. My club's repeater. Test. As you see, it went down 146.30000. So there you go. Easy, just like the UV5R. You put everything in on one go, save it. Simplex. Gonna go back, hit VFO mode again. And we're gonna do something different. We're gonna go ahead and do the 70 centimeter national calling frequency. But I'm gonna go just slightly off it. Actually, I'm inside the shack, probably can't even hear on that. But we're gonna do the 70 centimeter calling frequency for something different. That number is 446.0 all the way. And I didn't even do that right. I hit 8. 446.000. There you go. Zeros over here. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to make sure you turn everything off. So hit your green to go in your menu. We're back in VFO, so it's actually back on the last memory we were doing, which was 30. So we're going to go back to 10. Start down there. Turn all your receive and your transmit CTCSSs or DCSs off. Option on transmit, just hit 0. And there's off. Confirm you're off. Go up to 28. 28, not 8. There we go. Shift. Hit your green button to enter the menu. Go up to off. Again, because you turned it off, you should not have to change the next option up, which is 29. You should not have to change the actual megahertz offset. You should be fine. So let's go up to 30 to memory channel. And we're going to plug that one into 8. 8 does not have CH, therefore it is not saved yet. Confirm. This is what we're working with. It's now confirmed in 8. Exit. Now we're going to hit this to change it back. In VFO mode, it actually still has the negative offset because this is still variable, like where you can change everything. So, coming Dangerous, thanks for the stream. Hope you have a good rest of the weekend. You've got to run. All right. I appreciate you, Dangerous, for being on. Thanks for popping in. I hope you have a great weekend too, buddy. 73 is in Godspeed to you. All right. So VHO, when you're in VFO, even though you change all these settings, sometimes it still looks like, oh, well, you have a plus, the shift up or down or whatever on here. That's fine. You've already saved what you were doing. So it should be fine. Switch it over to memory. We're on number 8. Now that's in memory, you can see we don't have the shift or anything up there. Again, for testing, go to option 0. Turn your squelch off. Okay, squelch is off. You can probably hear it. I'm inside the shack. I don't hear anybody on national calling frequency. So if you just press it real quick, it shouldn't change. There you go. We've now got simplex plugged in on channel 8 for this radio. 7, we had the repeater on. I guess I should turn the squelch off. And if you ever have played around with your handheld, you will know that even while you're in memory mode, the squelch is the one thing you can turn off and on all the time without changing any other settings um, on your memories. So, and it doesn't affect anything else minus the squelch. So, there you go. We've now programmed in a repeater and a simplex on this. And again, on simplex, you can set in a tone, receiver, transmit, CT, CSS for analog stuff if you want to just stay in conversation with your group. Again, no radio is truly 100% encrypted, secured as far as these type of radios go. They offer things called a scrambler. I have one. Again, it's on the UV21. I have not played around with that yet, so probably something I'll get a couple of guys from the club to go test out one day while we're out in the field. But and this, I don't have any of the newer BF F8 HPs or anything, so I do not know if this menu transfers over to that. I think it's the same firmware, but I'm not 100% sure. I got a couple other radios that are a little wonky to program, like the new Baofeng K6 I got. Uh, Someone was just mentioning that they didn't like it because it does not program through chirp at all. Not too bad in my book. I mean, it's not a huge loss in my book. Again, I know for some people it's easy to program in, put in 50 repeaters or whatever you need, your Skywarn, your Aries, all that stuff, and you're ready to go. But knowing that there is a radio that does not work with chirp, I have not checked if there's additional software for that K6. I did program in some frequencies. I'm not going to get to it on this stream because I got to practice more with it. It is not easy to do. There's a lot of programming in one frequency, changing things, then programming your transmit frequency, then save it again. It does have a couple hurdles. I can see where just programming it is a lot easier. But all right, so there we go. That's the 5RM simplex and repeaters. And again, one more note on this antenna. I highly suggest you get one of these tactical antennas. I personally have not had any bad experience with them. It is a tape measure. It's a vertical tape measure antenna tied into this base, which I'm sure somehow helps it go between the 2-meter and 70-centimeter. I'm not sure how the science works, but I'm sure that's what it is. I built a Yagi out of one of these, but that's just for one band. So, all right. Well, guys, I think that's about wrapping it up for this evening. We've kind of cut it in right at about an hour or so. If anyone has any questions or would like to comments, cries of outrage, anything like that, I am here for it. I want to again appreciate. Excuse me. I want to thank everyone, and I appreciate all of you for coming out this Saturday evening. I know that's sometimes family time, going out, doing whatever. But for all those that did tune in, I greatly appreciate it. And I will hang around here for a few more minutes. If anyone wants to chat, bring up any questions, I am more than happy to answer it if I can. If I don't know the answer, I will seek it out for you. And again, I will put the repeater book link in the chat one more time. Highly suggest you check that website out. There you go. Highly suggest you check that out and write down the repeaters in your area. If you happen to be someone that kind of knows what your travel path is around your house or your town or whatever, and you're only always 10 within 10-15 miles of your house, you can set radiuses for that on that website in regards to how far the repeaters you want from a certain zip code. Also very helpful. And then when you find those, again, put them in a notebook, program it into your radio. Uh, Again, I always like to carry a extra small sheet with at least the ones that I know that are about 15 miles out. My club is technically about 25 miles, but at the right conditions, I can hit it with a 25-watt mobile rig when I'm out and about. So, all right. Well, we'll hang around here for about another minute, and then I guess we will be shutting her down for this Saturday. Now, you could also not program anything into your radio. If you like to roll around and you just want to have it on VFO all the time, uh, because you either travel a lot or you just like trying out different repeaters when you're in an area, that's perfectly fine as well. I keep usually about five, the closest repeaters I know, just between my travels because I know I'm either near the club repeater or there's a local repeater again that's connected to a reflector, which covers I don't remember how many miles. It's huge. And then there's a repeater that's technically about 32 miles away from me, or 30. I think it's 30 according to the map. But the tower is insanely tall. I want to say it's 300 something or up at near 400 feet. So even with a 5-watt HT, I can hit it and get a decent signal back as long as I am using a decent antenna. Pretty, an extended whip like a 771 or that a Bree Tactical uh, or anything of that sort. Or if I can even hook up a mobile rig and be in the car, for sure it'll hear 25 watts and I can be heading outside of the radius and sometimes it'll still just pick it up because it's so high. All right. Well, with that, guys, I think we are going to go ahead and shut her down for the day. Again, appreciate to everybody coming out. Hope y'all have a good evening. And for now, remember, always be getting ready. I wish you all 73s a good evening.